Welcome back to Doc's Hot Shop and Forge. So you might be wondering, what does this have to do with blacksmithing? Very little. So if you don't want to see my monthly updates on my lathe restoration project, this is what one of those videos is. There are plenty of other videos that you can watch instead if you're needing some time. So what I thought I'd go over today is the fact that to finish the lathe restoration, I need to make the back gearing. To do that, I need a dividing head. Now, what I can find dividing head wise is either 6 to 8 inch table or tiny little 80mm things, which I don't think even take dividing plates. So I've decided to make one in the in-between size, so this is approximately a 4 inch, well, yes, the castings are 5.5, but realistically once machined they'll be a little bit under 5. It's a fairly simple design, uses a 40:1 worm and wheel for reduction. I've bought some commercial plates so I don't have to muck around with trying to do accurate hole divisions in plates, which I think is a recipe for disaster. Likewise with the worm wheel, I've purchased that online. It should be arriving sometime later this month. In the meantime, I thought I'd get all the castings done so that I can start some of the machining. So these are the outside frame, these are some of the other parts, so these 4 will go in one pour. Each one of them has a center sprue, which isn't ideal, but the center sprue actually forms part of the casting, so it's a convenient way to get part of the molding done with minimal effort. These ones do not require a center sprue, and so will be a much easier casting and molding experience. I won't go into the furnace I'm using because it's very much improvised and definitely not best practice. But I will show the pouring, some of the moulding, and hopefully you guys enjoy watching me do something a bit different. I have a video somewhere in the back catalogue, probably about a year ago, of me doing a small amount of sand casting. I will try to find it and put a link up here. So let's get the sand ready and let's start having some fun. Now I use green sand. This is artificially made, so this is place sand and bentonite, and you want it to have about that sort of break, so moisture wise, so it breaks cleanly, doesn't stick to the hand too much. Now the downside to green sand, apart from the moisture, is that it wears out. I mean, realistically, Petrobond wears out too. You can kind of rescue it by adding a little bit more clay and then mulling it back in. It doesn't always work, so as it gets used, bond strength goes down, and you keep running into little nodules of essentially fired clay. So I've got this pretty much ready to start moulding up. Now I'm sitting on my temporary moulding table because I don't do this often enough to actually warrant having a dedicated working area for this. So let's do this, see if I can get this cast up nice and quick. And we'll try and get both flasks done in one day. Downside means the second one will be using warm sand, which is always a little bit difficult to re-temper after a casting, but I'd really like to get this part of this project done, so all the casting's done and I don't have to worry about it. Alright, enough chit chat. So for these 3, which will have a common sprue, to start with, what I want to ram up is a false cope. so that I can lay them all down on it. Onto that surface so that they're arranged the way I'd like them. Then I put the drag on, ram that up, flip, dump out the falsie, and re-ram that with my sprue in place. These are small castings, relatively speaking, so shouldn't need a riser, although I am tempted to give this one a riser just to feed these, so that we don't, when this area here, which is relatively thick, so that if it's got a little bit, so it won't draw too much out of this area. Yeah, I think I will do that. So, this is the easy bit. It's very simple. The shooting angle isn't the best, because otherwise I'd be filming into the light, and that just doesn't work out terribly well. Now, false cope doesn't have to be rammed up particularly hard. But it does need a smooth surface. So, with the false cope rammed up, we've positioned our patterns. So we're putting the drag on, so called because you drag it on the ground, I believe. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. Now, ideally, you should riddle your sand for that first layer just to get a good surface finish. I don't have one. Yeah, this is a lot like making sandcastles at the beach. For things to release cleanly, they need to have a good slope, which we call draft in foundry speak, but not to worry about that. Now, the balance here is you don't want to ram up so much that you'll cool the air out, because the steam and other gases can't actually be forced out by the metal as it comes in. So, and this being a water-based sand, there will be steam. So on the flip side, you don't want it so loose that it doesn't hold its shape. Okay. Now, this one being flat, this should separate pretty easily, and it does. So, we shake this one out. Make sure we line things up correctly. Remembering not to round too hard because we don't want to damage the mating surface, because that'll make separating them difficult. Yeah, gotta let the steam out somehow. So. Okay. Okay, so now, excellent. We'll put that aside, and now we have to cut the gates. Yes, let's reinforce these edges just a little bit. Okay. So, now for drawing them out. Excellent. You try and get things more or less over the center of mass. So that you can get a nice clean draw. This one though is not over the center of mass. It's going to be awkward. And there's no real way to do this one over center of mass. Because its center of mass happens to be a hole. Okay. Not quite perfect. Let's close it up. This is always a bit of a risky bit. If you don't ram enough, you don't have enough strength to hold it. Alright, let's melt some metal. So that brings us to the end of that casting campaign. We've got all the bits cast. There's 9 parts here, which will go into this dividing head. These have still got their screws attached because they've got to be cut to a specific length and then machined true to face. So for those, we'll leave them the way they are for now. The rest are ready to machine. So I'll be doing that in the very near future. Look out for that video probably next month. For now, it's back to regular blacksmithing, as I am trying to keep this side of things, the machining and the lathe restoration, very much in the background. The next video will be revisiting the anvil making. So we'll be making out of not wrought iron, out of mild steel, a small anvil once again. Seeing as we are practicing, I'm going to use mild steel simply because wrought iron is a bit of a precious commodity around here. So, if you've enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, feel free to share on social media, and if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. When you do, don't forget, ring the notification bell. So get out to your shop, have some fun, push your envelope, do something very different. But above all, stay safe, and I'll catch you for the next one.